Welcome to Bet On It. I am Kelly Stewart, joined by Marco D'Angelo and Gianni the Greek. All right, guys, it looks like best bets 34, 24, and 1. Last 10 weeks been a pretty good run. I unfortunately faltered with my best bet last night, and that dropped our results to 9 and 6 this week, but we still had a winning week. So thank you to both of you guys for helping me pull myself up from the bootstraps. Troy was up here. The Steelers were down here. It's the emotional roller coaster of betting. If you guys haven't listened to the Kelly and Murray pod, you can hear all of that emotional roller coaster from last night. It was not so much fun for me after that big pick six. All right, gentlemen, on to a new betting day. It is Monday. That means Monday Night Football. Now, when I left the Westgate on Thursday, John Murray told me sharp money on Baltimore early on at 2.5. Now they are at 3 minus 120. A lot of threes minus 120. It doesn't look like it's going to hit 3.5, but due to some weather in the area, the total has dropped just a little bit. VR, can you confirm that was sharp money on the Ravens?
Yeah, for sure. Early money did come into the Ravens. That's what pushed this line all the way up to 3. And not surprising, but what I can also tell you is that a lot of the betting syndicate money came in at a pick'em. This line was down at a coin flip. I'm sure Murray took some pre-3, but some guys I know that got involved early got it as low as a pick'em. So this line, again, has moved significantly since, and it'll be interesting to see if we do get that buyback on Cleveland now that they're available at +3 even money in some places. And more importantly, if you get the piggybackers on Baltimore and it gets to 3.5, will those groups that got down at pick'em now automatically attempt the middle, or do they believe they have so much value? Why give up any type of equity for that middle and let's try to cash this good bet? That's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because I don't think they have a ton of exposure leading into Monday from Sunday's games. So I don't see books rushing to adjust any numbers based on that. And I think it's simply going to come, any movement should come from money as it gets to the window. And as you touched on, it seems like the betting syndicates already got down, at least on the Baltimore side. And it'll be interesting to see if any do come in on Cleveland, because when lines move like this, you do get two-way action. And I can't stress that enough. These guys, groups that win long-term, everyone's not agreeing with each other. And as lines move, value changes. So you may see a guy that wins betting team A, line moves 2-3 points. Another group gets just as much respects, wins just as much, now comes in on side B. And both of those bets can be plus EV at the numbers they bet them at. And that's the question that I've been asking myself, Kelly, all day, and why I haven't released anything to my subscribers yet, because I do believe Baltimore in this spot at a pick'em is positive EV. Now, at -3, minus 120, I'm not that sure. In fact, if I bet Baltimore now, the question I'm asking myself is, do they win this game 2 out of 3 times? Because if I could answer yes, then I have an automatic bet on the money line. Because right now I'm looking at -170, -175. And if they win the game 2 out of 3 times, I could lay up to 200 and break even. So why am I going to lay to -3, -20 in that spot? For me, again, I'm looking to place good bets. How it's going to play out, it's going to play out. If there's a pick six, if there's a fumble, if a bad call, I can't control any of that nonsense. The only stuff I can control is before they kick off, when do I place my bet? Do I place a decent bet? And, hopefully I beat the market to that bet. I didn't beat the market to Baltimore pick'em. So now my choices are Baltimore -3, Cleveland +3, or Baltimore Cleveland money line or the total. Because unfortunately, the Baltimore pick'em train has left the station. That's where the wise guys are on, I think.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what he said, is in sometimes in the early numbers. Now, I know for the most part, 2.5 was what it was all week. So I put, the Browns in a teaser. Of course, the Steelers killed one of those teasers, but I just looked in my account, and I do still have one teaser alive with Cleveland at 8.5. Now, I know at 3, they're not a teaser play. Marco, your thoughts? I know that you're kind of, we'll call you our resident AFC North expert. I know that is your division. Even though your team let me down last night, I feel like you have a really good grip on this division, similar to how I feel about the AFC West. So I'm curious to hear if you think, hey, Kelly, you know what? Stay away from this game. You have an 8.5 on the Browns. Let it go. Or maybe I should put a little sprinkle. I'm looking. I can get minus 170 on the Ravens on the money line, and that seems awfully cheap.
Yeah, well, with the 8.5 in your pocket, Kelly, that's the ticket to hold on to. One thing you do have to remember about this game and talking about when the line was available at 1. Remember, Baltimore didn't play till Tuesday last week. Okay, so a lot of that line movement came after Baltimore showed up and took care of business against the Cowboys on Tuesday. That's where you saw the initial move from the guys getting in there, because let's face it, if Baltimore would have somehow lost that game on Tuesday, and the narrative is after the week before that, when Baltimore didn't look good, did Baltimore quit on the season? That was a major concern. They did show up. Granted, it was against Dallas, but they played a good game. Lamar Jackson came back. They had all of the COVID issues, and they're getting players back. So, yes, it is sharp money, but it's sharp money because they saw what happened on Tuesday and started to bet into that. Because if you remember, Kelly, you do the Circa contest. Baltimore is one of the biggest played games with the guys that are on top of the leaderboard in Circa this week. But if you look at the line in the Circa contest, Circa had the stale number out there. They had the 1, and people are going to take a number all the time. We see this in the contest. Whenever there's a bad number, they're blindly going to play that because it's value. You're getting 2 points of value. So that's part of the reason why you're seeing the numbers where it's at. You got to realize that. Now, as far as the game itself goes, Kelly, we talk about ebb and flows of the season as you go along, or what is the recency bias, in the game. And if you look at these two teams, what you've seen recently is Cleveland is a team that's won 4 in a row. They've won, they're playing well. They've won 4 out of 5, and everybody's getting excited about the Browns all of a sudden. But I'm going to just tap the brakes for a second and say, when you look at Cleveland and look at who they beat Houston, they beat Philadelphia, they beat Jacksonville. Let me stop with those 3 teams and tell you those 3 teams have a combined win total of 9 wins on the season. 9. Then they did last week beat Tennessee. And that whole situation, we talked about it on the show. That was a horrible spot for Tennessee. Coming off the big game against Indianapolis, they played 3 big games in a row. It was going to be a flat spot. We used it in a trap situation and everything. And Cleveland jumped out to the big lead. Tennessee was flat out of the gate. Turnovers. I think they had 3 or 4 turnovers in that game. But Kelly, if you watch the fourth quarter, if there had been 5 more minutes in that game, Tennessee comes all the way back. They had all of the momentum in the second half. So I've got to question a little bit about how good this run has been of Cleveland. I don't want to get too excited about it. Then we look at Baltimore, and if you look at what they've done, and that's why I said waiting to see what they did on that Tuesday night game, this is a team that had, 4 losses out of their last 5 games. But if you look at who they lost to, Pittsburgh twice. Pittsburgh has 11 wins on the season. They lost to Tennessee, a 9-win team, and then they did lose to New England. That was the worst team in that run with 6 wins. But if you remember, that was a driving rainstorm in New England, and there were turnovers in that game. So as bad as the 2 look head-to-head, you got to dig a little bit deeper and see really who the competition has been. The other part that I'm going to say about this game, and when we look at the numbers, offensive and defensive stats, we've got an asterisk on Cleveland because 3 of their games this year were played in horrible weather conditions. So that's going to hurt their offensive numbers when they had 2 driving rainstorms in that one game where the wind was just ridiculous. You remember that one field goal that took a dogleg left when the kicker kicked it. So their numbers are a little bit skewed because of those 3 games. And you also got to look at their games without Nick Chubb. They went a month without Nick Chubb. Cleveland Browns are night and day difference when he's in the lineup and when he's out. I know Baker Mayfield's the face of the Browns, but Baker Mayfield's not what makes this team go. It's Nick Chubb that makes this team go, because when the running game is clicking, it makes things easier for Baker off of play action. So for me, until I see Cleveland beat a good team, I'm a little bit skeptical about it. I lean to Baltimore in this game just because they've got more big game experience. Not that Lamar Jackson's won a lot of big games, but this is a team that did go 14-2 last year during the regular season. Then Lamar Jackson had, a bad game in the champion or in their first playoff game last year. But Baker Mayfield, what's his signature win since he's been at Cleveland? This could be it tonight. And if you want to go with the need factor, I never like to do that, but that's baked into the line a little bit too now. With Baltimore winning Tuesday, that kept them alive in the playoff race. They're back in the wild card race. Cleveland can afford to lose this game. They don't want to, but they can afford to. Baltimore can't. So that's why the line is where it's at. For me, a slight lean to Baltimore. Like VR, I haven't released anything to my clients yet. I don't know that I'll get to the window. This might be one where I just sit and enjoy it because, as Ace says all the time, you don't have to make bets every day. That's the advantage we have. The books got that 11-10 edge. They got to put it up on every game. We don't have to bet every game.
You guys are absolutely right. Sometimes I need to take that advice as well. Just because it's on TV and we're meeting Ralph to watch the game doesn't mean that we need to have some action on it. Good thing I have that open teaser. Thank you guys for hanging out with us on this beautiful Monday. We will be back Wednesday evening for NFL Week 15. From now until then, good luck on your wagers. Let's bet on it.
Every Monday is $9 Mondays over at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Get any best bet or daily package for only $9.